don't want what we know out there.
How a person can go from really almost nothing to becoming a millionaire by owning rental properties.
He would always buy these flip houses, and I just remember thinking, this guy is crazy. Why would he buy that house?
In the past decade, there's been a huge surge in the peer-to-peer short-term rental market.
Become an insider. So you have to know the rules before you get the game.
Every second counts. So make every second count.
Welcome to the Real Estate Jam. Whether you're just beginning or the best of the best, we're glad you're here. We will share successes, failures, and strategies for the action-taking real estate investor. And now to your hosts, JD and Melissa.
Hey guys, welcome to the Real Estate Jam podcast. I'm JD and we are missing our co-host. She's off doing important tasks, but I am super excited to get another take on investing and passive income. I'm super excited to introduce you guys to Russ Morgan. He's the co-founder and partner at Wealth Without Wall Street, kind of a community designed to teach people that they don't have to use Wall Street in the typical sense to find the passive income needs. Russ, thanks for making time for us today and coming on to share your knowledge.
Man, thank you for having me, JD. Such a pleasure to be on a show like yours. Man, we were sounds like we're aligned in a lot of the concepts that we're teaching and how to help people, and I'm just grateful to be here.
Awesome. Well, Russ, I know that there's definitely somebody in our audience that doesn't know anything about you. Can you give us like a breakdown, maybe your quick how you got to where you're at right now?
Well, the way I got to where I am right now is through the Lord. Because I'm telling you, I'm a redneck from Alabama. I went to Auburn and then became a financial advisor, ultimately became a certified financial planner. And I only say that to say I learned all the wrong things and know why Wall Street is not a method to building wealth for you. And it was in 2016 that I actually broke away from that whole world. My business partner and I started the company Wealth Without Wall Street. It was a podcast initially with us trying to figure out how do we create wealth and build freedom for our family. So I have 4 kids. He has 5. And just like many of the people who are probably listening to this right now, we're just trying to figure out what does it take to become financially free when we have busy lives, we have busy works and busy businesses, and it seems overwhelming. And through interviewing, hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs who are doing this, we realize it's not that hard and it just requires a process. And so we built a process and we built a community and have been able to, personally have become financially free. And because of that, have watched, hundreds and hundreds of others through our community do the same thing.
Awesome. And one of the things that you guys go into over at your community is, what is your investor DNA for our listeners who haven't heard that concept? Can we walk through that a little bit and maybe how you figure that out?
Yeah, 100%. So I'm going to give you a framework. So our mission, Wealth Without Wall Street's mission is help people who want, and I'd say emphasize want, to become financially free, get there faster. And in order to do that, you have to know what you're wanting to accomplish. So your why has to be greater than your why not, right? You have to be able to get access to your money. Most of the time we've been taught the wrong things about where to put our money, whether it's 401ks and IRAs, and that's because that's what everybody else was doing. So we did it, or it was paying down debt. We felt like debt freedom equal financial freedom. We realized, well, we can never pay off the cost of living. And then the second thing is that we need to understand who we are as investors so we can become better investors. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what you're kind of pointed to. And this kind of takes me back to a quote Robert Kiyosaki said one time. He says, "They're good and bad investments, they're just good and bad investors." Mm-hmm. And I was one of those bad investors, JD. My first investment was in a single family home down in a college town that I was from. And, a buddy of mine had renovated the whole complex, had an extra unit, had a renter in it, said, "Hey, I'll sell it to you for a discount." And I thought, man, this is amazing. I didn't know I could make $67 a month this easy, right? That one property cost me 11 years, JD. Cost me 11 years of my life. And not because single family rental property is a bad idea, not because I picked the wrong one or was in the wrong area or I bought it at the beginning of 2007 or right before it crashed, none of those things. it was because I didn't relate to the investment itself. It didn't match up with who I was. So I'm a guy who likes to build businesses. I'm a serial entrepreneur. We run like 10 different companies. Like, I love that. I love the newness. I don't like the oldness, right? So I want to build it and hand it to somebody else and go create something new. And that single family property did not require my input. And for some people, they're like, yes, that's what I want. I want something that's completely passive. And so what we figured out is that everybody has a different personality style. We know this. We've taken Myers-Briggs, we've taken Culture Index, Enneagram, DISC, whatever it may be. And it said, this is who you are. But never has that been matched up to the just hundreds and hundreds of different types of investment opportunities that are out there to make sure those are together. And so for us, we took that step. We took that leap of faith to say, hey, we're going to try to match up personality styles and what are the pros and cons of each investment that are out there based upon the personality style that exists. And so when we did that, it became really clear as to why all of those things that was super passive in nature from the very beginning that I couldn't add value to, I didn't like. And that's why I was like, well, man, this one condo that I bought cost me 11 years before I really started finding other investments that created passive income. And that's kind of led us to a point where we've utilized that personally in our lives to build over $50,000 a month in passive income. And we report on it every single month on our podcast.
Yeah, that's awesome. I do think it's important. And like we were talking before we started filming, that's, very similar to establishing your investor identity, knowing what it is. I think it's a step before where I come in. Like most of the people that I've dealt with, they already know that it's real estate that they want to invest in. But which type of real estate is it? And you're looking at it because there's millions of different investments, business owners, passive business owners. I think we'll get into some of the infinite banking thing here in a little bit, but just being true to who you are when you're looking at the lens of passive income and investments, I think is super important.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think too oftentimes we make decisions based upon what others are doing. Hence the reason Wealth Without Wall Street exists, because so many people were trying to become wealthy through investing in Wall Street, and only people that were getting wealthy were the money managers, right? And I saw the billions of dollars, right? And we always say that you got to build a cash flow system. And in the retirement world, that cash flow system is you for them, right? Like your cash flow system for the companies that you work for, your cash flow system for the Wall Street and the businesses that are, that are selling equity on Wall Street. And what we need to understand is that we got to see who we are uniquely. So while real estate, when I got out of the Wall Street world, I thought, okay, well, there's multifamily and single family, like that's my options. Well, I mean, JD, it's like there's so many different ways that you can do real estate. There's so many different options of how you can participate in. I mean, my business partner and I built a short-term rental business that has over 25 units. And we only own one property in all of those. Like we were using arbitrage, which I had no idea about. Right. So there's so many different ways to get into the real estate or hospitality spaces related to that, or knowing that, hey, by the way, that's not what I'm aligned with. And if I'm more aligned with another sector, even though I don't necessarily have a path to follow, like there's not just tons and tons of shows on that. But when I see who I'm interested, who I am, and I see the pros and cons of these different things, I start to relate to say, maybe that's the one I want to pursue.
Right. And can you maybe walk us through some of the things that our guys or our listeners that we need to look at, need to consider, or maybe some of the options that you found work best for people who aren't interested in real estate or don't love it as much as they once did, is maybe more likely.
Listen, I will say, that the key is knowing who you are. Then that makes knowing what to invest in that much easier, right? So my personality style is, so just for DISC, most people have taken the DISC profile, right? There's the drivers, that's the D, right? Those are the people that are just kind of all benefits. I want it done fast, and I don't want to do anything with it, except I want to tell you how to do it.
Right.
Then you have the the eyes, the influencers. Those are the people who love to be the center of attention and love to be able to, interact and participate and be the life of the party. That's me. And then there's the S's, which are the empathizers. Those are the people that are always worried about other people more than themselves, right? They'll take care of everybody, but allow themselves to fail along the way. And what they're interested in, though, is stability, right? Because that's how they fit in life. Then you have the C, which are the analyticals. They don't care about any of the BS that's out there. Like, all they want to know is show me the piece of paper, and I'm going to figure out if you're telling me a lie or the truth. And then, is it consistent? Has it, is it happened forever? Okay, now I invest in it. So from that angle, we go and we've used this tool that we call the Investor DNA. And through that, we've taken the top 10 deals, 10 strategies that we've personally invested in and said, okay, well, now we can use this to help us narrow the path to 2. Because one of the things is, JD, and you know this, is that people listen to your podcast, they hear all these amazing guests come on, and they get distracted. They go an inch deep in 12 different directions.
Yeah, shiny object.
Right. Well, and so the hard part is which one do I go deep in? Well, if you know who you are as an investor, and you know how the investment works in relationship to who you are, then you can make better decisions to say, oh, well, maybe this one wouldn't fit because of this. I'll give you an example. So for me, again, I'm not going to diagnose you and who you are, but my personality style is I'm an optimist. Everything's a good idea. So the first thing I do is I go to the cons page. Right? I have to go figure out all the reasons why I won't like it because I want to do them all. So I look at something like, turnkey rentals, right? Mm-hmm. And we have a fantastic passive income mastermind, and we have one of the largest turnkey rental operator owners in our mastermind. And to me, it's boring, because I could do nothing with it. Yeah, there's no people to engage with it, right? I can't increase its profit in any way. So I go, oh, that probably wouldn't be a fit. Then there's something like private lending, right? Many people in the real estate world know private lending. Well, for me, I can't really interact with tons of people. It is kind of a set it and forget it. And it's just not flashy. It's not exciting. Now, people say, well, Russ, why do you like short-term rentals? Well, because it was new, right? We started this in 2020 and it was new. It was exciting. I could post it on my Facebook and on my Instagram. And when people come to town, hey, you can stay here. And there's an event in town. I can say, hey, you can stay here. Like, it gave me the ability to interact, but it also gave me the ability to create systems and scale it. So then I could put a manager in place. And that's what we did with our business. And from the very beginning, we hired somebody and taught them how to do it and let them run with it. So then I meet with them once a week, and I just add input, and then I get to move away from it. Right. So those are little things for me, like the cons, the excitement things, but then you go into key factors because people need to know, well, how much time will it take for me? There's no such thing as passive income. Purely passive, meaning uninvolved. At some level, you had to be involved, at least on the beginning. You had to be involved in where the money was going to come from to invest in it. You had to be involved to say, is this the right operator or the right deal for me? You had to be involved in somewhere would tell them where to send the money to and when is it going to exit and where am I going to put the money? There's some level of involvement in everything. Sure. And for some things more than others. How much capital is it going to require? Am I going to have to be an accredited investor? Can I be a not accredited investor? Is it going to require $50,000 minimum or $250,000 minimum? Am I going to have to participate in potentially the sales aspect of it, right? Because we have lots of land flippers in our community, and those people have built amazing businesses that produce a lot of residual income. But on the front end, they had to be involved and they had to be decent at sales. Yeah. Or do they have to have lots of details, right? Like we have people that own e-commerce brands and they sell those on, the major sites like Amazon and stuff like that. And they had to have a lot of details in order to organize all the processes and systems and oversee all of that on the front end. So all of these things that, you can have as investments, but also can be businesses that turn into investments, require different levels of input and detail. And we need to match up who we naturally are with that. And we know this about ourselves because when we, in any form of life, whatever it was, if we were given an assignment, a job, a responsibility, and we were good at it, we added so much value. Like when I joined our church in 2006, they were like, you need to be a greeter. After the first day, they said, you do not need to be a greeter at the main door, though, because you do not know where anything is, but you will pretend you do, right? So, I mean, they matched up my gift where I needed to be. And that's the way I think as investors, we should be looking for deals that match up with who we are, because then we will add way more value and we'll get way more value out of it.
Yeah, I know. I think that's a great point. And I think that's something that all of our listeners could benefit from, applying that view to their future endeavors, and maybe even reevaluating why some of their other endeavors haven't gone the way that they wanted, or they didn't get as much enjoyment out of that situation. One of the things that I really wanted to get into, because I think you're an expert in this space, but a lot of times we talk about infinite banking and that it's a scam. And I'm hoping you can shed some light on it, and we can have a little bit of a discussion about your thoughts on infinite banking and how it should be applied or shouldn't be applied, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. If it's a scam, JD, I have bought it hook, line, and sinker, man. My business partner and I have over 40 full life policies on 20 different insureds with 7 different companies and millions of dollars invested. But it always goes back to, you should never take financial advice. We have a say in our show, advice is like garbage and should be treated as such, because it can only come from the person giving it, right? Mm-hmm. It's the reason why we built the Investor DNA, to say, man, don't look at the fact that we've built $26,000 a month flipping land and residual note income and assume that that's the perfect fit for you, because it maybe not be the perfect fit for you. That maybe that's who you are. Plenty of people have seen us build this short-term rental portfolio and said, man, that doesn't work for me. And here's why. And I can totally resonate why it doesn't work. So infinite banking, one, is a process. Most of the people who get involved in the scam part, they're saying, hey, there's potentially better tools out there to use it, or the only people who do it make money off of it. That partial truths in lots of things, right? So I don't want to get too knee deep into that, but I had a chance early on in my career to meet the author of the book, Becoming Your Own Banker, mm-hmm. Nelson Nash. And I told you I came from a financial planner background, right? So I was at a conference in January 2009, right after the market crashed, and I had been at the same conference as 500 financial advisors, planners, CPAs, so forth and so on. They're at it. And I'd gone to the same conference every year going back to 2005. And, their litany of speakers would come up, share different ideas. And there was this one older gentleman get up there and he'd talk about this idea of becoming your own bank, the infinite banking concept. Mm-hmm. And it was always interesting. He was a colorful guy. And at the end, I would lean over to whoever's sitting next to me and say, remind me again, what's this about? And they would say, oh, it's using whole life insurance. And I go, man, bless their heart. In the South, that's the saying, right? Bless their heart. Whenever you're like, they just don't know any better, right? And I was that way because my thought process was the only reason somebody would use whole life insurance is because they weren't smart enough to use an investment. They didn't know what to do. But in January 2009, obviously, I was sitting there wide-eyed and big-eared listening for anyway, because what I had thought to be true turned out not to be true.
Right.
And this gentleman talked. I went to a breakout right after that, JD, and I listened for an hour, him share just how you could utilize this concept in your life for simple things, right? He wasn't trying to say you could get rich, but he was just saying, here's the simple ways to utilize this. And it just was like, well, I don't believe it, but man, it's so simple. I need to try to figure out how it doesn't work. And so I bought the book. He had a little table after I bought the book. I jumped on a flight home from Orlando to Birmingham. It took me about 2.5 hours to read it. And I turned it over. On the back of the book, JD, it said, gave the author's address at Rocky Ridge Road, Birmingham, Alabama. Now, I had seen this guy speak in New Orleans, in Scottsdale, Arizona, Orlando, Florida, and he was in my backyard. And so I made an appointment with him, and I went and sat down with him, and I got a chance to learn from him for the next 10 years. And I realized there's so much to know about how money works. So infinite banking is just recognizing that our money has a cost, right? You go out today, you go to lunch, you're going to take that money from somewhere and spend it. Wherever it came from, it never earn a dollar again, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if we take that money, we go buy a piece of real estate, great. Whatever the real estate will do, it will do. But where the money came from, it's gone forever. And so that's just the recognizing that our money has a cost. It can no longer earn interest in two different places. And he says the thing is that you need to also recognize that wherever that money is being pooled, somebody is making a profit. Otherwise, it wouldn't exist. Mm-hmm. So where do most people keep cash? At the local banks, right? We think, well, man, they're doing an amazing service. No, they're taking our deposits, they're borrowing our money, and they're turning around and lending it out, sometimes back to us at a profit. Mm-hmm. And he says, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. You just need to recognize it. So the concept of infinite banking is getting your money in a place that you can access it. And he said, there's lots of different places, but the place that hundreds of years old, that's the only financial instrument that's guaranteed to get better every single year, is a dividend paying whole life insurance policy. And by putting your money there, if you do it with the company where the policy owners actually own the company, not a stock company, you are actually profiting from the ownership of the company. And it just was like, well, this makes a lot of sense, but there's all these things I don't know and don't understand. And I had to figure out over the years. But what I did figure out is that my money needed to reside in a place I could access it, because that was the number one obstacle keeping me from being able to take advantage of deals. Mm-hmm. It wasn't how much equity I had in my house. It wasn't how much, hundreds of thousands I had in my 401k. None of that mattered. It was, could I take advantage of the deals? Did I have access to the money? And when I started stacking cash in these policies, JD, and again, I'm the first customer, and it continued to expand upon my system. I've been able, because of the cash I have access to be able to borrow against it, have it continue to earn interest in its current place, and be able to make money in all the deals that I'm doing, and have a place for that money to go back to. And the thing about this that made most sense for me is that because we're busy, right? We got kids, we got jobs, we got companies, we get distracted and we kid ourselves thinking that we can multitask, but we can't. Nobody multitasks. We just do things poorly, right? My business partner has 45 tabs open on his computer. And I'm like, please close all of them. He's like, but I need that thing. I said, no, what happens is you see that thing when you're trying to do something else, and all of a sudden your brain stops working on the job it's working on and starts thinking about that thing. And now you're not doing anything right. Well, the same thing's true with our money. We need to have a way to take active income and turn it into passive income. And so we installed a system we call our passive income operating system, where we take cash, we put it on autopilot to run through a system to where it allows us to go do with savings, allows us to do investments, lets us pay taxes, allows us to take all our cash from our investments to come back in here, while not being commingled with the money I spend for soccer, I spend for groceries, I spend for mortgages, all the things over here that can distract me. And oftentimes we make the mistake of putting those dollars together. So I don't know if I did a good job. This is something that my mentor, Nelson Nash, used to teach in a 10-hour workshop. So asking me to give it to you in 5 minutes is not, obviously a really concise way, but hopefully that gave you some instance of what that is.
No, absolutely. And that's a better explanation than I've heard a lot of other places. So I do appreciate it. I think the most important thing for our listeners to know is that your investor DNA plays a huge part in whether that's a good thing for you or not. And everybody has to do their due diligence. Now, if our listeners wanted to find out more about the infinite banking, the Wealth Without Wall Street, or get in contact with you, where should they go? If you have a destination we can send them, I think it would help, because like you said, you can't learn this in 5 minutes, which should be a 10. And really, it's you've been doing it for years and years, not just a 10-hour course. So where can we send them if they want to learn more about what you guys got going on?
100%. If you go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/real estate jam, sound familiar? On that landing page, you can do a couple of things. One, you can get access to our downloads or our passive income operating system download if you want. It's free. There's nothing to buy there. It can show you the process in which we take active income and turn it into passive income. You can also, if you want to, schedule a 15-minute call with one of our coaches. Again, we don't sell anything on those meetings. Our objective is to understand what people are trying to accomplish and figure out, is there something that our company could support them in? And then lastly, we give them access to our community. So we now have almost 7,000 people in our community. It's off all the social channels. So again, trying to take people away from the distractions. I don't want you looking at, cat memes while you're trying to think about financial freedom. Not that, hey, I'm cat meme guy, but I don't want to be distracted when my goal is to go here and then I'm 45 minutes down a rabbit trail. So we built a platform, our own app. You can go to the App Store, download it, Wealth Without Wall Street. And in there, that's our community. And we go really deep in all of these subjects. So if you're interested in infinite banking, interested in investor DNA, you want to see how this stuff works. You want to ask other people, right? Because you don't have to just ask me. We have a community full of people who are doing this. And what they're doing is way more important, right? There's tools out there that assist, and some are more efficient than others. But is it helping? Are you becoming financially free? That's the big goal.
Awesome, Russ. Well, we really appreciate you finding time to come on the show and share your wealth of knowledge with our listeners. And we can't wait to talk to you again.
Thank you so much for having me, JD. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Jam. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information, check out our website, therealestatejam.com. Or find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Real Estate Jam. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email at therealestatejam@gmail.com. See you next episode.